this guy says, who's putting it together, I want to see 40, 50, 60-year-olds break world records because performance medicine is the rod of anti-aging.
Performance medicine. Yes. I love it.
I like
performance medicine.
That's a great term.
Hey, if there's one thing we should have learned from all the bullshit over the last 3 years is control the narrative.
Yeah. Yep. Performance medicine.
Start using the right words. Performance medicine. That is going in my lingo today. Performance medicine. That is awesome.
That's going to be that's the title to your drugs for clients now. Performance medicine information.
Medicine.
That's the title of this episode.
Love it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. Of course, Scott, the producer, McNally, Dusty Hanshaw, myself, Ron Partlow. And we're hammering a whole bunch of questions today, aren't we? We have a lead topic, Scott?
A lot of questions.
Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Okay. And remember, IamMutant.com, Dusty20, Big Ron 20 for 20% off. Hit the site, use the code, show them how much you watch the show. And of course, Think Big Bodybuilding Media, Patreon, keep a producer homed. And the show's coming. Okay, on to the good stuff. What is going on, Scott? What do you have to start with today? We're jumping right in.
Thank you for everybody who's watching Patreon and YouTube. You guys have loaded us up with even more questions. So we have enough that we're doing a second show for the week. And if you guys want to take part in the next show, then definitely comment because that ensures that we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. So this is from Patreon. Can you guys talk about this Australian that wants to start the enhanced games, which is basically the Olympics without testing? There's an article on The Guardian, which she then sent us a link, and I will just take a screen cap of this and kind of share it with you guys. So the whole thing is basically that. It's going to be Olympics, all the Olympic games without any testing, basically.
So he has a photo of 6 enhanced runners.
Yeah, this is the 1988 Olympics, right? So yeah, 6 enhanced runners, including Ben Johnson.
Oh, I'm Canadian. I know that photo. That is Ben Johnson pulling away from every other person on the planet.
Thanks
and then he's so far ahead that he throws his hand up over his head for the last 10 yards, like a real flex.
Yeah,
just puts his hand up in the air for the last 10 strides and just smokes everyone. Yeah, I love that moment.
So there's people that are apparently appalled by this concept. This Olympic gold medalist, Anna Mears. Yeah, she says, is appalled by the concept. It's a joke, to be honest, unfair and unsafe. I just don't think that this is the right way to go about the sport, she said.
How would it be unfair if you're all allowed?
Yeah. This is her. You can picture her voice.
These people.
You can picture her voice as she's saying that.
I can picture her haircut, and I called it. Oh my gosh, I knew it.
I called it.
Yes.
Listen, I knew her haircut when I read the words, so that's a pretty simple situation.
Yeah. You know what I still can't believe we do? You know what I can't? I still, sometimes I sit in my car and I look at my phone and like a really good UFC clip comes up.
Yeah.
And I just think, I can't believe we're allowed to do this.
Like pound each other in the face?
Yeah. Just get in cage. Just smash each other in the face with your shins and your elbows. And
it's okay.
It just, but then this woman, oh my goodness. Track and field people taking steroids. Oh my goodness. What sort of...
Imagine what will happen to their shoes when they run so fast.
The things we pick and choose to be upset about, right? That's my point. The things we the things we don't get up in arms about is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it says here too, if you participate, you're going to get stock in the league and be a co-owner. And that is really important to us because that is going to be an opportunity for athletes to generate wealth. And also, though, it's added the IOC has committed itself to vilifying enhanced athletes. Sorry, this text is kind of covered up by an ad here. Only to have their medals revoked, their careers suspended, their names dragged through the mud. Yeah, they're just saying that, overall, the idea of being enhanced is it's a moral thing, I think, to a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Cheaters.
Yeah.
It's all dumb anyways. Like, at the end of the day, let's be straight. First up, I think most people need to understand that outside of those few Olympians who are the chosen ones who are on Wheaties boxes, these people don't make any money. Like, they're doing all this for nothing. So I'm sorry, but the moment this guy's like, oh, and by the way, you can make some money.
Yeah.
All right, that's a first step. Second one, you don't need to continue to figure out how to beat these drug tests because God knows you're still using them. Now you're just trying to now you don't have to figure out how to beat them. Take them right to the end. That's perfect.
Well, just
like
imagine
I told you
if
in the
you're
beginning,
like
Scott, like they're already doing it. So what's the difference?
I mean, I would tune in if someone said, okay, let me set this up for you. Let's say you get 10 guys that are in the top 30 of the world in track and field.
Yeah.
Right? Say you get 10 of them. Let's say decathletes, right? Because they're doing all 12 events. So let's say you get 10 guys out of the top 30 decathletes. These are guys that you would never, ever hear about because the 20 to 30 guys at the Olympics don't get any recognition whatsoever.
No, of course
they're never going to medal. But just think of how close all of them are, right? Olympic athletes are all like within a second or two of each other on every single event.
Yeah.
So they're still really great, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So imagine if you say, okay, we're going to have an event, we're going to televise it, and we're going to take 10 of these guys. There's 10 that have signed up. 10 guys came and signed up because they said, screw the Olympics. I'm never going to win anything. And they came and signed up, WBF style, like in the early 90s. Right. And those bodybuilders went over to get that paycheck, right? And then they said, we're going to have a decathlete that's not drug tested. We're going to televise it. I would watch that.
Yeah.
I would watch that. I'd want to see what's going to happen. Like, how much better are their times? And then they even put their times up. His last Olympic time was this. Tonight, this.
Yeah. And his cycle right next to it.
Yeah.
Sponsor.
Told me he's got like a Labs shirt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Labs.com, right?
If you told me, if you're like, I don't watch the Olympics personally, like I don't watch any of it, but if you were to tell me, Ron, like we're going to take 10 of the best guys in the world,
100-meter sprint,
and we're just going to juice them to the gills and see what they can do, I would freaking tune in for that. I would tune in for that. There's no question,
You already did, Scott, because I know you were watching baseball when McGuire and Bonds were knocking the shit out of it.
And he hits one high. He hits one deep. McCovey Cove out of here.
You already tuned in for that, and so did everyone else.
Right.
Only period of baseball I ever watched
was the steroid part.
Was the steroid part. Right? Well, it's the only part of baseball, the only time I knew a single player's name. The only time I tuned into the sports highlights and hoped the baseball hadn't already been on. Like, I wonder what happened. I wonder if Bonds cranked another one. I wonder if I wonder if McGuire and Sosa both hit dingers tonight. And I even used the lingo a little bit, Yeah.
You were getting into it. That's what I'm saying. So we already know because baseball is not as popular as it used to be because they took the drugs out. Come on now. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like going to a good party and taking the drugs out. Wait a minute. Sorry, Scott.
So they're saying that WADA, USDA, and the Sporting Integrity of Australia, that they have actually funded their anti-science authorities whose job is to stop scientific progress. They're saying that these people are getting in the way of anti-aging, because they're talking about this guy says, who's putting it together, I want to see 40, 50, 60-year-olds break world records because performance medicine is the rod of anti-aging.
Medicine. Yes. I love it.
I like
performance medicine.
That's a great term.
Hey, if there's one thing we should have learned from all the bullshit over the last 3 years is control the narrative.
Yeah. Yep. Performance medicine.
Start using the right words. Performance medicine. That is going in my lingo today. Performance medicine. That is awesome.
That's going to be that's the title to your drugs for clients now. Performance medicine information.
Medicine.
That's the title of this episode.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's the title of this episode. Yeah,
that's what the pod people did, right? To get everything legalized, they controlled the narrative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They, we would really want people to have access to medicine, right? We want patients to have access to their medicine to help with their, pain and symptoms, right? They control the narrative.
When you're dieting into a show and you're not quite hard enough, maybe you need a little more medicine.
You need some performance medicine, to help maintain my metabolic state, to help with my performance.
Metabolic health.
Metabolic health.
I like this. I like where you guys are going. This is
how it's done. Control the words.
Yeah. It's a good topic.
You will say my words. Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
All right.
Hey, what do we do? What do we do when someone tells us to say their words, Scott?
What do we do?
Do you have something you can hold up? Can't you hold something up right now?
I got a couple things I can hold up. YouTube wouldn't be very happy about
hold up,
but yes.
Okay. When someone tells us to say their words, we hold up our what? You do it, Scott.
Oh man, I came this close today to creating an audio clip of the desk pop thing. That would have been a perfect spot for it.
Yes,
I'll do it. For the next episode.
The
next episode, we'll have a clip.
Okay.
Yeah,
that way a little sideways.
Yeah, it always does. Okay. I didn't expect anything less from you guys.
No. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Performance medicine, mostly.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
All right. So, quest for the next episode. Guy is 39. He's gotten back into lifting for the last 4 to 5 years and took nearly 10 years off of regular lifting before that. Started when he was 15 and in high school. In early 20s, I would do some leg work, but I always hated it, and it wasn't important to me. Now it's my favorite thing to do. I can't do barbell squats or deadlifts, so hacks and leg presses are my bread and butter. Although I've put on 30 pounds, oh man, I didn't click the read more button. I put on 30 pounds in the last 45 years of training consistently. I realize I can't quite do the things. We're going to have to finish this question for him because I don't have it.
Guys.
Here's the problem. I'm blaming Jonathan because he wrote too much and I had to hit the read more button. It's a lot to ask of us to read that long. So what's his issue here? He needs to grow his legs? Is that what he's saying? But he can only do those 2 exercises?
That's a lot. How dare you want us to read your whole question? What do you think we are?
Saturday
episode, that's guys. Terrible.
Saturday episode.
Oh, man.
Okay, I got it right
worst.
here. I got it right here.
Thank you.
There it is.
Although I've put on 30 pounds in the last 3 to 4 years, I realize I can't quite do the things you guys talk about. But I'm as strong as I've ever been by a good bit in the hacks and leg presses. And I'm doing, sets of 6 to 12 and progressing volume and weight in a slow and steady process, which has been working. I need to know alternate methods to get my legs to grow via rep schemes and intensifiers. Oh, and he also got a kidney transplant in 2020. So his protein intake has to be regulated, and it's quite low. It's like 120 grams a day. So he is on TRT with his doctor and everything. So there's a lot of things going on here. So he's on TRT, so that at least we know that he's like
supported with good medicine.
Supported that way. There's not going to be any performance medicine deficit.
Yeah.
Good, right? So I'm glad we're all totally on board.
Yeah, it's
good. But he's got the kidney transplant, so I mean that's good news. So he's trying to figure out ways to get his legs to grow, basically, is the brunt of it.
Well, the movements you're doing are fine. So that's the first thing. You don't need to worry about too much beyond that. I'm assuming based on the two things he said he couldn't do, this is a low back situation because he didn't actually say why he couldn't do them.
Yeah.
So I do have to throw in Bulgarian split squats are the nightmare that people like to ignore. And I think that done heavy, I hate Bulgarians more than I hate heavy hack squats.
You know what? Them. I will admit I haven't done them in a while.
Oh,
and just
I'm
by
sorry,
saying that,
Braden,
I have to do them now. Tomorrow.
That's why I just apologized. I'm like, oh boy, Braden's gonna be pissed.
You just triggered me. You just triggered me, Dusty. You made me see the faults in myself.
Yeah. That is a nasty movement, and if I can throw in a John Meadows special, it is grab four dumbbells, say like 30, 50, 70, and 90.
Oh, no, I have to
do your 30s first for 15, then do your 50s for 15, then your 70s for 15. Then when you get your 80s after your full break, you do it to fail, and then do the other ones on the way down. Terrible. So it'd be like 90,
build up over
fail,
3 sets,
70, fail, 50, fail, 30, die.
And then you do the other leg.
Yeah, that's the best part. So
that's the part.
With a training partner, I used to always do my right leg on the ground first, and then he would do his, and then we'd go back because you need like 2 minutes plus. For me, 17 before you could do the other one. Yeah, I like that. That's a nasty. Yeah. Oh, thank you, John. I remember the first time I did it, and then he was like, "You know what makes it even more fun? If you do a 2-count pause at the top, like 3/4 of the way up, and then a 2-count pause at the bottom as well. It makes it more fun." I'm like, the way you use the word "fun," John, is interesting.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah. Those are great.
Yeah.
I like that.
So what else can we add for him for the movements he's doing?
Well, he's training in the 6 to 12 rep range. So right off the bat, there's a lot of fun to be had in the 20 rep range for quads.
Oh yeah.
Raise those reps up. Especially if you're an older guy, raise those reps up. So don't be afraid to do that. Do some volume work on the leg press once in a while. 4 sets of 20, make them all hard. There's some rough shit you can do if you just open your mind a bit, to rep ranges and, finding out how much damage you can do with one piece of equipment is kind of fun sometimes.
I agree.
I like foot positioning on the leg press.
Yeah.
I like to bring my feet real down, down low to where I intentionally let the calves, the ankle give, and then sink it in like a sissy squat. Something like that. Now those I do higher reps because I do feel a little stress on the Achilles. So I don't go any more than 8 plates aside on those, but then really let them sink in.
Which translates to 2 plates to you at home.
Yeah.
My Achilles are different.
Yeah. But there's 1,000 guys tear their Achilles this week doing Dusty's leg press.
I did 8 plates like Dusty said.
As soon as it came out, I'm like, should have just left that one alone. Damn it.
So many torn Achilles that it's on the news. You're like, a rash of torn Achilles. It's really puzzled hospital emergency workers. Yeah.
But you know what they would lean into? They need more performance medicine. The growth hormone sales would go through the roof.
There you go. I hurt my back. So I hurt my lower back really, really bad. Really bad to the point where I had to go to the hospital. And for about a year, this was 2005. And for a year after that, I honestly stopped training for a while because I couldn't train legs at all. And eventually I had to learn okay, well, maybe I'm going to be one of those guys that just doesn't train legs and whatever. I still like going to the gym. And eventually I changed my mind on that and I figured stuff out. But before I got back into squatting, I did what you guys are talking about. How'd you put it, Ron? Really get creative with a machine and figure out what you can do with it. And things imagine a 2-second dead stop pause in the hole, on the leg press, right?
Love
and then
it.
drive up hard, and then like a 4 second or a 3 second negative, no pause at the top. Okay. So let me paint a picture for him. All right. So we're going to start in the bottom. Imagine the bottom is the beginning of the rep. Don't imagine the top. We're not going to lock out at the top at all. So you start at the bottom, you're going to have a 2 second pause. And when I say 2 seconds, this is 2 full seconds, meaning 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. And when you're about to say 3, that's the end of the second. So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, drive. 1,000. And then drive. And drive up aggressively. When you get to the top, what I've always said is when I was in high school, I took an auto shop class. And we had a little diagram thing of a piston. And when you'd show how the piston worked, the teacher would turn a crank and the piston would go up. And when it reached the top, it didn't just stop. There was no point of stopping there. It immediately, without hesitation, began the negative. It began coming back down. So think of it that way. You just go up, and when you hit the top, you immediately go back down. But we're going to slow that negative down to 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, bottom. And then when you get to the bottom, you count that 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, drive. And I guarantee you, man, you're going to tear your legs up with that one in a good way. And you don't need a lot of weight to do it either,
No. That's an excellent description.
Thank you.
Excellent thing to put out there. That was great for a lot of people.
I hope that people use it. And if they do, tell me, I'd be curious. That's the way I try to describe that one. But I freaking love it, and you could do, like you said, Ron, you could get so creative and think of, so you do that this time. What are you going to do next time? It's the same machine, but you can use it in so many different ways,
Yeah.
I'm glad you listed out the second, by the way, because I'll tell people a 2 count sometimes. Yeah. And then they'll watch me do it. And they're like, that wasn't 2 seconds. I'm like, no. 2 count is like 1, 2. Just as you would say it. And second is very key because, a 3 count negative is not slow. A 3 second negative is not brutal. Moving.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That is such a long time. Like you said, and you never locked out. So it's like you skimmed to the top of the rep and came down. That's brutal.
And if you need to pause, you can pause as long as you want in the bottom. Go ahead. Take a break. You can pause in the bottom, but don't pause at the top.
Then you're stuck.
At all.
I like that we're currently writing Ron's training for tomorrow. That's really fun.
I'm really upset about this. It's getting worse.
Ron's not going to walk after the end of this question being answered.
Don't forget your medicine before the leg day tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. I take my medicine Saturday, so I'm all right.
Good.
Okay. There you go. I like that one.
Questions for the next episode. I have 4 pairs of the same shorts and 4 pairs of the same gym shirt that I wear to the gym. Almost like my gym outfit. I like consistency and the way that they feel. If I train at your gym, would you think I am a psycho? Do you think others know I have multiple pairs or think I am wearing the same shirt, shorts every day? P.S. I am not changing my ways no matter the answer.
I love this person, number one. This is my new best friend.
So there are a small handful of people that could wear the exact same thing to the gym every day. And I would think, that's just how that dude operates, right? One is Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, right. Mark Zuckerberg could show up at the gym every day in a blue t-shirt
in that outfit
and black shorts, and I'd be like, that guy's fine. Lex, the podcast guy, if he came in with a black t-shirt on and black sweatpants every day, I'd be like, that's Lex, man. He's a genius. Look at that genius at work.
Does.
Yeah. Anybody else does that, I think, what is wrong with this person? They're wearing the same clothing every day. Don't they realize that they look crazy?
It's like his uniform, though. He has to put on his uniform before he goes to work.
Here's a question. Is he wearing a plain white t-shirt?
I hope so.
Or is he wearing some random shirt that actually has an image on it?
He has 4 Nirvana shirts.
Yeah,
that are all the
because
same.
if you're wearing the same, like if you're wearing that Masters of the Universe T-shirt that Scott has on right now, if you're wearing that every day in the gym, I do not think you have more than one of those. I think you are disgusting and need to shower and wash your clothes. Right?
But what if he
so
doesn't
there's a difference. There's still, I'd be like, oh man, I don't know how he's pulling it off.
Yeah.
But
he's definitely not washing it.
Even if he's washing it every night, I would then think that's weird. He's washing it every single night.
Yeah, it'd wear out real fast that way too, you know?
Right.
But his never do because it's for years.
Yeah. No, last 4 times as long.
Oh, this is great. I wonder what detergent he uses. Anyways, this is so great because I see this guy walk in because you also name him immediately. You know how you name everyone at the gym? Ron can't get out on this one because
usually
people
it's smelly
listen.
guy.
Yeah.
But I name, like we name like everyone at the gym. I'm like red-haired running lady, and everyone's like, oh yeah, her.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Sir hugs a lot.
Makes
That's
you
the guy
wonder-
that hugs every girl in the gym.
Oh god.
Just walks around hugging everyone. I'm like, there's Sir hugs a lot. At it again.
I knew that guy. He was at my gym too.
Sir Hugs a lot.
See?
He was nuts too, man. He was nuts. He got
Have you ever wondered what?
Sir Hugs a lot at my gym. He got a job there part time, and he
Was he hugging people at work?
he gave this woman a tour. He got fired. He gave this woman a tour, and she looked around the gym. And after that, he's like, "Well, listen, how about you give me your number? I'm going to send you something a little."
Oh, God, this is great.
He's like, "I'm going to send you something a little later today, and you can tell me what you think about it." So she gives her her number, and then he sent her a dick pic later.
Amazing. What did she think?
She thought she wanted to call the gym and let them know what he was doing, you know, on company time. So, yeah.
Well, did they ask to see the evidence? To be like,
I
well,
don't
we have
think
to
so.
see this evidence.
There were multiple situations with him. And I remember when my girlfriend met him, she was like, he talks to me like I'm a small child. He was the guy who was like, oh, hi, how are you doing today? You know, when he talked to women, it would be kind of like that kind of thing. It was, yeah, he was he was an interesting guy. Hugs a lot, though. Hugs a lot.
Wow.
Oh, Sir hugs a lot. That's
really
amazing.
great. That's really great. Do you ever wonder what you've been called by gym members?
I
was
could
called-
create a lot of names for myself.
I've heard some of the names. Chemical Factory comes to mind when I was getting ready for shows. Yeah,
Nice.
there's a couple people who were like,
okay.
that guy takes more gear than I, because they, you know, I got in better shape than anybody else that was like average gym people. They're like, he's got to be taking all the steroids. So yeah, Chemical
You're one of the
Factory.
guys at the gym that got like peeled. You're one of the peeled guys at that gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Chemical
great.
Factory. I like that. That's pretty good. Chemical
Yeah.
Factory.
Medicine Factory.
Medicine Factory. Yeah. Change the narrative.
So Muscle Factory used to be called Beauvais Gym. This is before I was into bodybuilding, but that was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And my buddy who trained there all the time, he used to say, he goes, man, that gym, you just look across the gym and it was just chemical warfare everywhere. Because he's like, everyone in the gym was on a ton of shit.
That's good.
Oh man, sorry for derailing your question again, sir. This is what we do.
I think that was my fault. That was my fault. Maybe,
But it was so worth it. Like that could be the lead of the episode.
it doesn't.
I'll send you a little something later.
He had some other ones I can't repeat on the show.
Oh, that's great.
I thought this would be a really good follow up. Do you guys do any neck training, or does it have any? Does it add to your physique on stage? I've been training my neck 2 times a week for the last 2 months and put on some decent size.
Don't do it.
I never trained my neck directly. I did a lot of barbell shrugs in the early days, and I always tell people like I had big traps right away. I was kind of like a big trap guy. Like everyone was like, "Oh man, your neck's huge." Like when I was in grade 12 and I already had a big neck, and I did a lot of shrugs, and then I did a lot of barbell rows and stuff like that. So I directly trained my traps for a good portion of my life. And then it was like kind of halfway through my bodybuilding career, I started having like neck issues that I'm, currently still kind of dealing with. But I started thinking shrugs weren't good for my neck, and I sort of just stopped doing them because I just didn't feel like comfortable. Sometimes I'd do them and they'd hurt, so I just stopped doing shrugs.
Right.
But I had big traps when I was big because I would load them and train them. And I know that I'd go stretches without doing any shrugs, and then maybe I'd be getting ready for a show and I'd be like, I'm going to do some shrugs. And I felt like I squared out right away. Like within a few weeks of adding in some shrugs, my traps had a square corner on them. And I'm like, oh, there they are. Plus I was getting leaner. So it all kind of, you never know if it's in your head or not. Right. But I always felt like, they looked a little better when I trained them. But yeah, I did a lot of shrugs, but no neck training.
Dusty, you're all neck. Like, you've got a thick neck, one of the thickest necks out of people I know. Like, if you were a dog, you'd probably be like either a pit bull or a Rottweiler, one of the two.
Yeah, I don't. I think I'd be a Yorkie, but anyways, I don't. I just don't recommend neck training because if you're ever going to need to buy a dress shirt, it's a real conundrum. Because the average store does not have necks bigger than 17 and a half.
No.
And that's a real problem. So there's my advice. No, but I don't think having a big neck is not going to help you on stage. So like Ron said, train your traps. I think the neck gets involved in almost everything that you're holding a bar and straining. So I'm not someone who thinks you need to directly be attacking it. And my non-educated side of my next comment is I do feel like it could be dangerous to do something wrong moving your neck. I just feel like there's not a lot there in your spine. Some of the things I see in the gym with guys when they're pushing it, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know enough about it, but it just seems risk to reward. You're on the losing end with the neck. Because I've never said to someone man, that show was close, but you won with your neck thickness.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
You guys must both have to buy custom made dress shirts because
yes,
my neck doesn't fit into a standard shirt, and you guys are both bigger than I am.
Yeah, I still have a relatively big neck. I can't remember what it's measured at, but it's still when last time I had a suit made and some shirts made, he's like, oh yeah, big neck, he made a comment, so it's still not normal, especially if I want to do up the top button,
Yeah. If you're wearing a tie, it's out of the question.
Yeah, it's out of the question. You have to have one of the tailor-made shirts on. Yeah, I've got a few that aren't tailor-made, but I don't wear ties with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Another important question here from Jason on Patreon. I'd love to hear the guys from It's Just Bodybuilding, specifically Dusty, take a moment to express all the appreciation for the scenery that CrossFit girls bring to the gym. Damn, they're impressive. Specifically Dusty.
I agree.
On this one.
Yeah, well, that's because I don't know where it was, but I talked about that. It's either the show or somewhere.
Yeah.
There's something, I think what I enjoy now is that women being powerful is the thing now, being strong versus when I was a kid, it was to be skinny. Before I got into training, but skinny was the goal of women. And I think if you tell the average woman in the gym that she's skinny, she will be offended, So I love the idea of, I hate this word, but I was going to say functional strength, but just strength. I just like the idea that you can actually do something and your body tells me that you are strong, Yeah. So when he says CrossFit girls, I think he's meaning that look, they wear the short shorts and the high socks.
Oh yeah.
They got round butts.
Yeah.
And they're working out
abs.
hard. And some of them have to get some abs in the mix, and they're doing, power cleans on the platform and that sort of thing.
I like to know that if I get in an argument with a girl and it gets heated, that I might need a weapon.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Need a weapon. Yeah. As Rogan said, that Joe Rogan clip where he's like, I like a girl that can help me move a couch.
Yeah.
A sturdy woman. I think that's what he said. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I agree 100%. I'm not calling a friend to move a couch. You're in on this. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question for you guys or the Blood, Sweat, and Gear crew. Well, you got it here. From all the years and clients you have coached, what is the wildest growth from a client that you all have seen? Like a client who has put on 30 pounds in a year or something crazy with, comparable condition.
Man, I could pop off I know we wouldn't use names, but I got like 3 names that Ron did on his own that are in my head. But I would say for me, my most impressive have been athletes in other sports that switched into bodybuilding and were genetically gifted athletes. But the moment we started training and eating, that fast twitch fiber just went everywhere. And you just, literally, some of them would put on weight. Like I had one guy years ago that he was putting on size quick enough that I had to verify he didn't go on a cycle without asking.
Really? That's wild.
Right.
Because it was like, you're like 5 pounds up in a month. You're like, that's cool. We got started it. And then the next month again. And on the third month, you're like, hey, like it's fine, but we should be talking about it. He's like, I'm not taking anything.
That's a great compliment, though. Yeah, your coach asks you if you're on gear.
Because it's so drastic. But I had to point out, like, had nothing to do with me. It was just someone who executed the plan flawlessly and had the genetics to just explode. This is also typical with those people, though. Is the one thing I would add in is they were people who also knew how to work. So when you would ask them to take a set to failure, they knew what that meant. Which is the missing link, in my opinion, to online training, is getting people to execute a set the way that they would if you were standing there.
Yeah. Get him to do it consistently every time they go into the gym. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say, just to kind of maybe, I was sort of thinking of a person I could name as an example, because I don't know who would be I can't remember who would be the number one, but I got a real good friend, Riley Jansen from Edmonton. I helped him for his first show in, I believe, 2011. And I think he was 189, like sucked right down on stage. Mm-hmm. And he won his class. He won the overall because he was like good and ripped. And that was 2011, I believe. And in 2016, he turned pro at 230.
Wow. That's ripped at 230.
Ripped, like strided glutes, hard as nails. Sean Ray was the MC, and Sean Ray actually stopped him on stage. He goes, "You look really good."
That's cool.
And that was a genuine, so he was in shape. Like, it was legit, really great condition, 230. And, but that guy just was like a robot. He worked his ass off. He's got the talent for putting on some muscle, and he really managed it well. And he made it happen. But that was like a 5-year time period.
That's absurd.
Went from he might've been 190 something, but that first show he was like pretty light. But then 230 legit, the day of the show.
40 true stage weight pounds in 5 years.
Yeah, 40 true stage weight pounds in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I've got one here. I thought of somebody who listens to the shows. Bill is his name. And I think I showed these pictures on Drugs and Stuff before. And this is where he was when he started with me at about 200 pounds. And then this was under a year. This was at, it was like 280, something like that. 285, something along those lines. I mean, he like the legs alone, he made just incredible. I mean, just really everything, but like the legs alone he made. And here's the thing, man, is that he's a really hard trainer. Like, this guy has crazy intensity. Somebody that you don't have to worry about literally going to the brink in every single workout. Like, Dusty, you would be proud of him if you saw him train. He made incredible progress, and it was like ballpark, like 80 pounds and he did a lot of that, like 60 pounds in a matter of a pretty short period of time, like, 16, 20 weeks or something, and then just held it there. Very unique the way he worked. But yeah.
What's our finisher, Scott? Because you're on a timeline here. You gotta come out with the finisher.
Man, we had so many good questions. Like, just so many good questions. I don't even know what this is. I'm just going to grab it because I see something about John Meadows. Topic idea, just storytelling from the old school days. I'm sure Ron has stories from Australia he hasn't told. Dusty, old Jose stories. Scott, I'm sure you have cool Shelby, John Meadows, or could recount cool old stories from a guest. Yes, I'm old, and I want to relive the glory days. So I think that's this is a great. That was a good find then for a finisher.
Yes, I think so.
One of you guys or both you guys have to come up with a good story for us.
A good. Well, I have an easy one that entered my mind already. Okay. That is this is a Jose story. It's actually before me, but I was so obviously I've been good friends with Jose, Guy, Sister Nino, all those guys for years, and so Guy went to do I'm going to say the USA's. We could have been nationals, but in the same class as Jose one year, and he looked nuts, came in nuts, and after the show. Guy took second, Jose won, and the guy was, Guy is the most competitive human on the planet. Trust me, he poses alone in his room, and he's mad at himself for losing to himself from yesterday. And I guess after the show, he was, he was disappointed that he didn't win, and Jose went over and he said, "Hey man, like, don't worry about it. I mean, you lost to me. That's awesome." And I just think that's such a classic moment because that is those two for 15 years after that. You know what I mean? Like,
you lost to me. I can see Jose pointing at himself.
I could see it come out like, I mean, obviously you weren't going to beat me. Yeah. So you won.
He is so sarcastic.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
One of my favorite things about Jose is he's not afraid of standing on a chair.
No.
What do you mean? I've seen so I met Jose when he was standing on a chair. I was in a Toronto nightclub, and it was like a after show party, right? The Toronto show had happened, and it was like an after show party. And I hadn't met Jose yet. This was years ago. And I'm standing with this group of people in this like VIP section, they're trying to get it. Oh, everybody in the VIP section, this is the section we have for you guys. And we're sort of all standing in there awkwardly. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I look and Jose's standing on a chair. He's right next to me. So he's kind of up above me. Yeah. And he leans over, he goes, "Ron Partlow." And he starts talking to me and I can't really hear him. And he's drinking, and he had a white tank top on, and he hadn't shaved anything for months. So he was like really hairy. And he was drinking. He had a drink, and I could tell he was like had been drinking, right? He's like having fun, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wow, we haven't met yet." And he's talking to me, and he's got the thick Boston accent, and that's just how I met Jose. And then he was telling me, "There's two things I like: bodybuilding and tequila." And I remember he was telling me like, there's tequila season, and then there's contest season. And I just remember like
you were in tequila season at that point.
I was in tequila season, yeah.
That's great.
And then I was at a show, I think it might have been the Arnold, and everyone was cheering and yelling at one point, and I looked and Jose was standing on his chair, and he was cheering and yelling. And I was like, "Oh, Jose is like a chair stander." And then I was at the Toronto Pro, just this past Toronto Pro. This past Toronto Pro, and Jose was there, and there was another point in time when the pro show was on, and they were announcing like Mustafa and Ian were top two.
Yeah.
And I look and Jose's standing on his chair, screaming his head off. Because we're kind of in the back, and he's standing on his chair, screaming his head off, cheering and yelling. And I'm like, Jose just ain't afraid of doing some chair standing.
That's amazing.
I love that Scott did not catch that was a literal.
Yeah, I didn't know what it. I didn't know what you meant. Not afraid
to stand on a chair.
It's a literal repeated thing. Huh. Yeah, he learned something. I learned something today.
He stands on chairs and screams.
Oh man, we screams in general because I love that how you met Jose, because I met Jose in a very similar but completely different way. Meaning, I did the 2011 Nationals, and I was peeled out of my head. I didn't place well because I'd actually lost size and whatever. And I'm walking off the stage like I'm done with prejudging, and I just hear this thick accent, Dusty fucking Hanshaw, you were fucking shredded. And he's screaming. And I look over, I'm like, who is this? And it's Jose, who is a god in the sport. I'm like, why do you even know who I am? You know? And he's just yelling, I don't care how you placed. You were the most nasty, shredded guy up there. And I'm just sitting there going, Jose is yelling at me, and this is our introduction. And I don't think we actually met. Yeah. Like, I don't think I ever said, I'm Dusty. And then he walked away. And I was like, that was awesome.
I met Jose at the Chicago Pro in 2018. Of course, I had known who he was for years and years, you know, and I saw him there. So I was like, oh man, I want to get a chance to meet Jose. So I just, like, as a fan, was like, hey man, my name's Scott, and I'm, you know, a big fan of you, blah, 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 loved everything you did. You know, took a picture, and then that was it. And then, like, later we did a podcast, and that was right around the time that I recorded with you for the first time, Dusty. And when I had him on, I was like, he was talking about how he had worked with somebody who was in that show. And I was like, oh, so that's why you were there when I got to meet you at Chicago. And this is like in the first minute of us talking on the show. And he was like, I can't do the accent like you guys can, but it made it even funnier and more sarcastic. But he's like, no, I came there so I could meet you, Scott. And I was like, that was his response. No, I came to Chicago Pro so I could meet you, Scott. He's like, yeah, I was working with the client.
Yeah,
it was like the first thing he said.
The sarcasm on you. Now we're gonna start this show.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Lots of characters. That's one of my favorite parts about the whole bodybuilding thing. Like, the characters I've met have been just, you know, I think about how they're characters because the culture doesn't. You know how if you work in, like, offices, everyone's behaving office-like. So you don't see, like, all the people you work with in, like, an executive professional setting, you don't really see a lot of their real side. But then in bodybuilding, it's different. They think of all the emotion around the competing, and you see people at their best and their worst. So you really see their character, and you see, like, the funny, hilarious things of, like, it's a really great, wide spectrum shotgun blast of personalities. Like, it's, you know, so it's one of the funnest parts, you know.
It is. So, I would agree.
Yeah, including Jose, the chair stander, Raymond.
Even when he's not on the show, he's on the show.
How many times, Dusty? How many times have you stood on a chair at an event and, like, yelled from on your chair?
None. Yeah,
none. Okay, so you're at zero.
And for the record, everyone, I'm not tall, so
right. You're at zero. What about you, Scott? How many times do you think you stood on your chair?
Not once. No.
Okay, so we're all zero. We all have a zero.
Yeah.
And I've seen Jose do it 3 times.
I wonder
that makes you wonder how many times
members,
has he done it.
Have our audience members seen Jose standing on a chair? If so, comment. You know, you got to
comment where you were when you saw Jose on a chair, and of those times, how many times did he have tequila in his hand?
Yeah, and for the future, if you do see Jose standing on a chair, please DM me a picture of it. We'll get it on the show.
It'll be like a meme. Okay.
Oh,
thanks,
this is so
guys.
good.
Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
There we go. And remember, Think Big Bodybuilding Media Patreon. Keep a producer homed and keep the shows rolling. And remember the IamMutant.com website where you can order everything from ISO Surge to All In. Everyone should get on the gear. IamMutant.com. Use the codes Dusty20, BigRon20 for 20% off. Thanks to the last 5-minute crew for sticking around for all the BS. We tend to sort of, like, sprawl out towards the end and lose track of what we're doing. So we appreciate that. And thanks everybody for the questions, because you make it a lot more fun than when we have to sit down and, like, you know, what are we going to talk about? What's happening? Do we talk about the shows? No one comes to us for shows. We shouldn't waste our time talking about shows, you know, and then all that stuff. So, okay, thanks. Remember, It's just bodybuilding.
Question. Do you think this should be the first episode or the second episode? Because this one was funny as hell. What do you guys think?
I'd probably drop this one first because I don't know why, but it did just roll.
It was like out the gate with like performance medicine. From there on out, like it was just rolling. So yeah,
Performance medicine. That is a permanent thing we're gonna say.
That was great. I just was instantly like, no way. This is like,
It's the greatest term ever. Your face lit up like a kid on Christmas.
it did.
Performance
Dusty,
medicine.
I this whole control the language thing. This is how it's done.
Yeah.
This is how the
We're
game is
learning.
played.
We're learning.